podcast. I'm your host, Geoff Banson.
And I'm Jackie Lucas. I like how you go, hello. You sound like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hello. And she comes up from the cake in the fridge.
Yes, that's you. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you. Look at that baby face. What happened to all the facial hair?
Well, when you last saw me, I was rocking the dad stash. I went through, I think it was a phase.
It was a phase, all right.
Is that considered a quarter life crisis?
I don't know what it was, but you'll look back when your baby was born and be like, wow.
You know, I think what it was I think what it was my wife said when I just kind of one day expecting to receive the answer of I hate it, please get rid of it now, please get rid of it yesterday. She said, you know, I don't think I hate it. I was like, wow, because she's tough critic. So if she liked it, then I think
that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
And it's incredible through my many phases of facial hair, the vesting interest that the public took on Facebook.
Yes,
we were having like polls on the air.
All right, so let's rewind it a little bit. So I'm Jackie Lucas,
and I'm Geoff Banson, and we are the Freaking
Weekend. We are the Freaking Weekend podcast, and we are former TV co-workers together. Co-anchors. Well, you always wanted to be a co-anchor of mine.
As we said on the show, and this was like day one, like show one. Geoff, it's nice to have you here, but let's remember whose show this is. At the end of the day, it is my show, and I said, your show. I'm just living it.
But yes, we wanted to do this podcast just because, you know, we're friends. We're both Long Islanders. We're parents now. You know, I got 3 kids, and Geoff is a new dad to the whole parenting thing. We just thought it would be fun, especially during these crazy times, to kind of do this. I thought we were going to have to stop
the recording. I think you said nude dad, a new dad.
A new dad. Yes. This podcast will be PG-13,
somewhere between PG and PG-13. I think.
Nothing, inappropriate,
PG-12.
but we wanted to kind of, talk about parenting, life on Long Island, and basically maybe just give people an outlet to smile a little bit. You know, we like to have fun and joke around, and we'll talk about, things. So that's kind of the purpose of this.
This is all about fun and being
And if
friends.
it's only one of you watching, it's okay.
Hi. It's nice it's an intimate setting. It's me, Jackie, and you.
Exactly. So tell everybody kind of how they can listen to us, watch us, and everything.
Yes. Well, to watch us, there's only one way, and that is on our YouTube channel, The Freaking Weekend Podcast. And if you at any time would like to give us some feedback, if you'd like to ask a question, maybe we will feature you on a future episode of the podcast. Feel free to email us. Or comment, because of course we're going to post this, or at least a link or a picture on Facebook or and Instagram. Feel free to comment there, or you can email us at the freaking weekend. That does have a D. Podcast at gmail.com. There's no spaces, there's no underscores, there's no periods. The Freaking Weekend Podcast at gmail.com. I'll tell you how to listen, although if you are listening, you have already found us. You have navigated the proprietors of the podcast. A lot of alliteration there. You have found us, but we will be on Spotify. I believe we'll be on iTunes. And I know there's some other ways to listen to podcasts out there, and we will explore getting them on all of them. So if you happen to use another one, or you just want to find us on whatever, we'll give you as many ways to listen as possible. And thanks for joining us. And here we go.
Thanks for joining us.
Here we go. Thanks for joining us.
Let's do this. Right?
Let's do it. Air high fives.
Air high fives for us. All right. So I think we were trying to talk about, because we want this to be very organic and everything, but we said, what are we going to talk about on our first podcast? And I think that just catching up, and, most people know that I have 3 kids. My kids are older. Jojo's 9, Aubrey's 7, and my youngest is 5. Geoff is a new dad. How old's Luca now?
He is 6.5 months.
So how is it going being a new dad?
Hearing myself say that out loud, first of all, is like kind of like stop shooting your tracks. to be like, I'm a dad of a 6+ month-year-old in, the second now half of his first year of life. And it's just
first of all, I'm a
where's it
mom of
going?
a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So like, that's almost a decade. And
I'm sure you have the same. I don't think that is ever going to get old. Like you'll always, oh my God, he's 1. Oh my God, he's 2. I feel like it's always going to be like, oh my God,
1,000%.
And everybody I've talked to says it goes fast. And I didn't, know at first, but now I can attest to that being true because it has gone so incredibly quick, from his potato stage where he's just like this breathing baby who doesn't really look like it. Everyone's like, who does he look like? Who does he? He's look like Lana. He's look like Geoff. And we would of course ask the same question, but I said, I don't think he looks like anybody right now. I think he just looks like a generic baby. He is generic baby stage. And now he's got a personality. He's a little person and he looks at you. And when you come inside, he just did it before and he kind of gives you that little smile. And that I was waiting for that so much. And I totally went through like a phase, like a week here where I was like, my baby hates me because he would go from mom to dad and he would just cry. But like, you have to take that with a grain of salt because he doesn't really know who you are yet. And of course he's spending time with mom.
Who you
and well,
I don't want to make you feel bad.
No, as you can attest to, there's a bond that you'll have that your husband will never have. There's just a difference. When you're the mom. And of course you spend 9 months baking them. So I feel like there's some kind of like
closer to 10
blood
months.
bond, Yeah. Even though he's got both of our DNA, I just feel like there's some kind of unbreakable thing that you have that dads never do. Not to say that we won't be as close or we won't have developed the same bonds. But definitely at first, especially because they're the feeder, they're the main parental unit at first, and they spend more time than I did. Not in all cases, but in our case, I didn't spend as much time. So he definitely, as soon as the transfer of power happened and he would come to me, he would kind of look back at mom and be like, oh, why is she going away? Well, who is this other guy? He changes facial hair every day. I don't know who he is.
That's true too. That might throw him off a little bit. I remember when my dad had a mustache for so long and then I think I was a teenager when he shaved it off and he came into my room and I was like, who is this man? Like, I had no idea. It took me like a good couple seconds. So I don't know. Maybe that threw little Luca off.
Right. Because I look like Snively Whiplash one week with my little handlebars, and the next
with
week
your Monopoly Man mustache.
Do not collect go.
So Luca, I have a Lucas, who's 5 years old. Luca is spelled Luka.
Right, now, which is leave off the last S for savings.
Is that Lucas. Because you can't hate me that much if though you choose to name your kid Luca? Like when you go through the baby names and you're like, oh, like I can't name my kid that because I hated, this person was mean to me in elementary school or, blah, 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 blah. So I haven't rubbed you the wrong way. You know what I mean? Yet.
No,
that bad
not
for
yet.
You.
Keyword yet. I can honestly say that there really was none, but when it's funny because that was the top of our short list of names. And then towards the end where it was like, yeah, we know it's going to be that. It was so funny when I realized, oh my God, it's an S away from being Lucas, spelled the same way. Because most Lucas out there are with a C. Luka with a K. So the Croatian, it's a very popular Croatian name. There's a lot of cool athletes with Luka Doncic on the Mavericks, Luka Modric, who is on the national football team and has played in Europe. And so, I mean, I, again, really didn't have anything to do with it. We just liked how it rolled off the tongue. But the Croatian alphabet, my wife's Croatian, is very phonetic. So the K sound is a K. The C sound, it almost like when you say the letter C, you say C. That's almost how it sounds. So Luca, which is the Italian version, which I'm Italian, but in Croatian that would be pronounced Luca, which is a female's name. And she actually has a very good friend who's about to have her own kid. That's spelled Luca. So
the K is like
it's the K. It's the K.
Well, I'll tell you this much is that you think like when we named Lucas, obviously Lucas is my maiden name, and we named our last, my third in homage to, my maiden name, whatever.
Right,
I didn't think that there would be that many Lukes or Lucases or Lucas.
Yeah.
Right in his class alone right now in pre-K, there's a Luke, there's a Lucas, which is my Luke, there's the Luca, and there's also another Lucas with an Lucas. So I'm so surprised
so wild
how many kids have very similar names. And here you think you're being like, original or whatever. So
hey, compared to the middle name, picking the first name was cake. The middle name was so funny. I mean, we're in the hospital at this point, and I feel like we spent so much time mulling over the the first name. We completely forgot and discounted the middle name.
Oh, no.
So now my wife doesn't have a middle name, so maybe that was added to the lackadaisicalness of the situation. But the hospital administrator comes in and is like going through this, going through that. Oh, hey, by the way, do we have a middle name yet? I want to get cracking on the birth certificate and all that stuff because
you have to fill out all the forms before.
And we kind of both look at each other and go, did you? I didn't do it. Did you? So, and this process repeated itself like 2 or 3 times. She had to keep coming back. And I was like, no, don't come back. I'll come to you. I know where your office is. I'll come down to you and I'll give it to you. And it was so funny because we could not think of one for the life of us. And it wasn't until literally Lana's on the operating table. There's like, the toolbox is open, the scalpel and all the other sharp, scary metal objects.
Remember PG-13. Don't scare people away from the podcast.
I mean, listen, all the dads, if you're a dad listening, you can use your imagination of what the situation looks like. But no, she's on the operating table. Everybody's ready to go. My wife had a C-section because little Luca decided not to flip over. So he was what they call breech, which is instead of going feet first down the slide, you're upside down. And
he was feet first down the slide.
Yeah, I said that wrong. Yes, he was feet first down the slide. Whereas,
you're supposed to go down the slide for your feet first, except when you're a baby about to come out of a mommy.
I choose to believe that he wanted to come into this world head on. He wanted to come in, although that's not the safest way of how things work. So we had to get him out the other way, and we're ready to go. And all of a sudden, everybody's cell phone lights up and sounds off. Boop! The emergency broadcast system, the alarms that now the push alerts and the sirens that get sent to your phone when there's like an Amber Alert or something bad happened. But mostly, and you can attest to this, is weather related.
Yeah.
And we were having, Luca, at the time, that tropical storm, then hurricane, then back to tropical storm. Henri was barreling towards Long Island, kind of out of nowhere, kind of happened at the last second. The storm did a weird little loop-de-loop, and then it was coming up the coast now towards either Long Island or New England. And at the time, it was looking like a dead hit for the East End, for somewhere on the South Fork near like Southampton. So Long Island got placed in a hurricane warning. And it was, I went back, unless I missed something, it was the first time we had been, because for Sandy, it wasn't technically a hurricane. So we didn't get a hurricane warning. I think this was the last time Long Island was under a hurricane warning was 1985 Gloria, before I was even born. So I was like, wow, what are the odds? And everybody, we hear it like through the ceiling, through the walls. I don't know what kind of paper ceilings the hospital had, but I hear it in other places. And I'm like, this is so bizarre. Like, I mean, me being a weather guy, me being a meteorologist, I'm like, this is like.
So were you like, Henri is his middle name? It's a sign from the weather god.
Yes. And after everything, and the delivery was a success, and we're in the room and we're talking about it. And I'm like, I just said it as a joke. And as soon as Lana didn't think it was like, I was like, is it kitschy? Is it cheesy? And she was like, no, I think it's kind of cool.
And appropriate.
And I was like, first of all, like, you're right. Like, and I have my name spelled Jeffrey with a G. And I always got the,
Geoffrey.
what I got with the there Geoffrey. It is. See, I was going to say I got made fun of by the little kids, but Jackie.
Wait, what's your middle name again? Wait, what's your middle name?
I have the normal middle name.
Geoffrey.
Alexander.
Oh, that's
you
right.
always thought
Alexander.
was very regal.
Yeah, well, it is very regal.
Alexander.
Well, you know what's so crazy about your first baby being born story being,
right.
in a hurricane? Well, Jojo, my first, he was born October 25th, 2012. You see where I'm going with this? But you were just talking about Superstorm Sandy. We literally came home, I think a day after we got out of the hospital, and we had to all go into the basement and hide there because Superstorm Sandy was coming, and we know what happened and all the damage across Long Island. At the time, though, I just had a baby, and I was so emotional and whatever else. Lost power for 2 weeks, living out of garbage bags of like clothes and stuff. We went to my parents' house because they had, at least we could make a fire so we could keep Jojo warm, and they had a gas stove so we could cook. We could cook and stuff, but just like when you picture kind of how you're going to bring your baby home and everything's going to be so perfect and you're going to use the diaper warmer and this and that. And then literally for us, when we had Jojo, we were just completely uprooted, and it was an incredible.
Not how you drew it up.
That is not. And I mean, and I feel, and then in that moment, because it was so traumatizing for us and we were so worried and I didn't know what I was doing with a mom. I never babysat kids when I was little. They give you a baby and you're walking out of the hospital. You're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Keep this thing alive, trees everywhere, not even realizing, because we didn't have power. Radios, X, Y, and Z. I didn't even know how bad it was also for everybody else, especially on the South Shore and stuff.
Right.
So, but it's just crazy that we have these two weather related, events that happen with our kids.
They also say that the pressure drop and the pressure fluctuations with these, because one of our former coworkers also had a baby around the time of a storm. I think it was Henri. Remember Henri, which took down a lot of trees. We didn't have power for 2 weeks. That was 2020, I think. And they say that sometimes, and I think they came a little bit early. Luca was also a week early. And I was like, I wonder if the pressure fluctuations force them out a little bit quicker, because we all know that like the weather does things to your body. I was induced
and I was a week late, so I had to force that child out of me.
Get on out. Come on, it's your time.
It was time. I said enough is enough. It's time.
Well, anyway, long story short, so we went with Henri, and we're like, the kids will. I'm Jeffrey, so I didn't want a huge like hubbub about the name. First of all, most of the kids don't know the middle names anyway, but they're all, if they did, they'd call him Henry, and I'm cool with that. I think Henry's a very nice name, actually. So I don't think the kids are going to be like, oh, it's an I, it's Henri. I don't think.
Shout out to all the Henrys out there.
What? So that's how we went with it.
If we touch this, the microphone turns off. So I'm not going to.
I know we've got fancy microphones, podcast.
Maybe you should mute yourself for a second, Geoff. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you had it your way, I'd mute myself the whole podcast.
Sometimes you can get long-winded, but it's
I'm a talker, folks.
No,
and I just gave you my first and middle names, and obviously we know my last name is Banton. Put those together.
You just gave the first and middle name you gave the story of the first and middle name of your son, and it took you 12 minutes to tell the whole story.
Long story short, again, my initials are
There's
Gab.
No short stories when it comes to you.
Gab, Gab. So that tells you that I can talk.
You have the gift of Gab.
That's it. And I could make friends with a brick wall if I needed to.
Oh, sure you could. You could be your best friend right there.
Moving on. All right. I'm gonna zip. I'm gonna give you
don't zip. All right.
I'm
so
gonna give
I
you
always
the ball.
Find this interesting, let's talk about I'm in a different stage of like parenting right now where my kids are older. I'm out of you're in like the survival, like keeping a baby alive stage. Soon he's going to start, crawling and walking, and
Mobile.
you're going to be chasing. And that chasing stage lasts, I would say, for like a good, up until they're maybe at least 3. I would push it maybe to 4, depending on how much of a helicopter parent you're going to be or where you are. Because obviously you're not going to let, Luca roam free near a pool, and they don't know how to swim or whatever.
Right.
But right now I'm in the stage where I'm not chasing anymore, and they're being a little bit more self-sufficient, which is nice. But
That's good.
I always find it interesting. Like, what do you think? Because I met you before you had kids, and you guys just, come and go as you please and do whatever. And what do you think's now having the baby and knowing that it's like, if you just want to go get a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, or you can't go through the drive-through, it's like, it's a process to get out the door if you just want to run a quick errand with a child. So like, what has been the most challenging thing you think for you guys? Is it sleep? Is it, I don't know. I'm just curious.
As I think about this more, I'll say this. I think sleep's been one of the least problematic things. He actually is really good sleeping through the night. We have not had to wake up to do, even back when we were doing like, have to do like night feedings because you have to feed him that was hard, but it wasn't bad. I would stay up, or we'd try to find a way where I would stay up till like 9, or Alana would stay up till 9, 10. Then I'd wake up to go to work and try to feed him, 1, 2. And then by that time, then the next one comes around at 6 a.m. So it really was never that bad. And he's a real good sleeper right now. I know there's things like sleep regression, and that could very well happen, knock on wood. But for now, the sleep is not the big problem. I guess, for Lana, it was probably just like missing him, leaving the house. But he's a fussy baby. He's definitely had some colic. He's probably had digestive things. You could see it in his faces. And we stopped doing breast milk at one point and went to formula because those are supposedly easier on the stomach. So, just kind of dealing with him through that phase, it's gotten so much better. We're very thankful for that. I think that was probably the hardest part. And I know they say it gets, some say it gets easier. Some say it gets easier. Then it gets worse. Then it gets easy again. It just comes and goes in waves. I think the next challenge is now that he's putting things in his mouth. He's definitely teething. Nothing is broken through yet to the other side, but just he's putting things in his mouth, and you really have to be careful about the small objects. I'm worried about that. I'm worried that I'll get lackadaisical and leave something around and he'll put it in his mouth. Choking hazards are all over the place, no matter what kind of household you live in. So really being on top of that is now the new challenge. He's not really mobile yet, but you can tell he almost wants to walk before he can crawl. Like
some babies do that too. Actually, Jojo never really crawled. He just started walking at 10 months. He would butt scooch like his way around.
Like a dog.
This is me how I'm butt scooching like this.
Do the butt
if you
scooch.
ever wondered how
scooch.
I was on the dance floor, it'd be a butt scooch like this. But yeah, what I'll tell you this much, like, it's so weird. And you'll see all the different phases. Even like Lucas, my Lucas was an amazing baby, the best baby up until a year. And then he turned into a horror show, and he was a terrible. It wasn't terrible twos. It wasn't terrible twos. It was terrible unos, a terrible one. And then he reverted back to just like being the sweetest, like little boy and whatever. But it's crazy. All the different stages, and every stage is, I remember it like yesterday, and just like go so fast. I
definitely got to savor those moments. And I guess you never really know what's going to happen in these stages. So you just have to kind of be ready for what comes along. Right.
Yeah. And then just when you think, and I think everybody can relate, just when you think you figured it out or have a routine or whatever else, no. And this will be the thing. Isn't daylight saving coming?
I talked about this to a coworker. Yes, it's coming up.
And that's just a way to mess with parents' schedules with their kids.
Right.
Like, so I'm sorry, he's not
going to know. His body's not going to adjust. So obviously he's going to wake up an hour early. So, and I know, and I'm sure you've heard of this. Apparently the reversal, I forget what they called it, but when you're asleep during the day and awake at night, you have confusion, like daylight confusion. Some kids, it's really hard to break out of that. And I was like, oh man, that sounds terrible, because then he's awake all night and you're trying to sleep. That sounds like a nightmare.
You have to almost like train them. Like, so what is it? We're springing forward. So we're losing an hour.
Correct. We're losing an hour.
So, so I can't figure it out in my head right now.
So,
but like you only
all
get
things
like
being
15
equal,
minutes, earlier bedtime, or a 15-minute later bedtime to kind of get to that point where you were.
I would think that unless you have an alarm that goes off, like most people, I would think on the weekend it's an untimed sleep. So all things being equal, I would
not
think
parents.
Okay,
Kids.
I'm saying all things being equal, we're not going to set any alarms. We're just going to see when he wakes up. Now, if he's in blackout curtains and he doesn't see if the sun rising earlier doesn't affect him, you would think he will still sleep his whatever. If he sleeps 8, 9, 10, he would still sleep that same amount of time. But we'll see. It's like a social experiment. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. But in any
well,
case.
I'm excited about this podcast and us, every week doing a little something, talking about certain things. And we definitely want everybody who's listening or watching to, comment below, ask us questions. I think it'll be fun to say some of the questions, here and get people's reaction. And then also, right, they could email at the freaking weekend podcast freaking
N podcast D
at gmail.com. And yeah, like it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. And thank you to everybody who very nicely it's still happening. People are still reaching out to us saying, where'd you go? Some people just don't know. But they have said nothing but wonderful things. And it's so touching to hear those things and that you genuinely liked to invite us into your house and let us do our thing. And again, I don't think that you get reactions like that. I think people can sniff out when you're not genuine. And I think that's the most gratifying thing, is that everything was always genuine and it was real. And I think the best part about, this and us being able to even just to do this is that we can be ourselves. We can. And to make people smile. I mean, things are so crazy right now and have been for these last 2 years, that if we could be a little escape or have relatable conversations, that's kind of like, why not? Why not have a little fun and everything? So we hope that we can help bring you a little joy, bring some joy to your life. And listen, I have a long commute to work now, and podcasts are a big thing, and I've really been getting into them. And I think that was also a catalyst outside of all the messages, was to do this, because I've kind of appreciated the art of the podcast now. And I feel like
we still need to master. We still need to master. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, I can't wait to edit out all the mic pops and everything like that. But the art of the podcast, I almost feel like if you don't have a podcast at this point, you're in the minority. So that's just how prevalent and how popular that they have become. And being media professionals, it's nice to get behind a microphone.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can attest.
Look how fancy these microphones are.
Look, same mics.
Same microphones.
That's right. We do everything together. All right. So again, the freaking weekend podcast at gmail.com. Send us a comment. Let us know if you liked it, you didn't like it. If you have a question, trust me, Jackie and I are always going to have stuff to talk about, but we would love to involve you in any way, shape, or form. And share with your friends. We'll have the links up. Spotify will be on, iTunes, and probably many, many more. And of course, you can watch us on the YouTube channel, and look out for updates on Facebook and Instagram as well. And I can't wait to do this again, Jackie.
Yay. We thank everybody for your support, and we hope you stay tuned with us. So we'll see you next time, right? We'll see you next time. Don't wake up too late on daylight savings that's Sunday. And enjoy. I think we'll be back. No, we won't. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We won't be back until after then. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy Pie Day. This is the GAB, the Gab. He just doesn't know. I can't hit the end button. All right. So I'm gonna say goodbye, and until next time. Enjoy the freaking weekend, everybody. Peace.